Hello everyone. So I've not made a YouTube video for a really long time now. To be honest, I'm kind of not really wanting to make YouTube videos anymore. And it's not really something that I have a passion for. But there's a particular subject that's really kind of made me just come back and make one video. Maybe that'll lead to some more, maybe it won't. And that is my 4 or so years playing video games on this thing, the Evercade. Now, I wanted to give my honest opinions and have a really frank discussion about the Evercade, Blaze Entertainment, and the community surrounding it. So, I'm going to start off by saying this thing, the original Evercade, not this purple special edition one, but just the Evercade in general, came out in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And you know what? It made me smile in a really shitty time for the entire world. It's a cartridge based video game system, as you can tell. I'm a big retro gamer. It was playing 8 and 16 bit. This cartridge here is Codemasters Collection 1. It's got games like Psycho Pinball and Sensible Soccer and all that good stuff on it. I really did enjoy this thing when it came out, and it was really, really welcome because I was staying in a shitty loft and I had literally nothing to do. And I was told I had to stay in by Boris Johnson because of all my asthma and stuff, and it was a genuinely horrible time made better by this thing, and for that I thank Blaze Entertainment. However, this thing did have its flaws. So there were button mapping issues from the very, very start. Some of the cartridges didn't fit very well. They were a little bit stiff. And basically, the screen was a bit shit. You know, it was kind of akin to an old PSP screen. Wasn't a new nice IPS screen that everyone was expecting. But hey, this thing was 80 quid with 3 games cartridges that had between like 6 and 20 games on it. Nobody could grumble, you know. And it's just not badly built either. You know, it's a solid bit of kit. Really happy. So obviously from this, Blaze Entertainment, the people behind it kind of built this nice community of retro gamers. Everyone for the most part got along with each other. Everybody kind of just chipped in, talked about retro games. A magazine got produced. You know, this huge, lovely community come by, and there were independent games being made for it. They ended up making their own native games. You know, everything's really good and rosy, but this thing had its detractors. It had a lot of good reviews and it had a few quite bad ones as well. Now, as a fan of the device, I couldn't see the problem with it. You know, it was 60 quid in its rawest form with like 1 game cartridge, which is a Namco cartridge, and I was bang into this. I thought it was really, really good. But as time went on, they started releasing other consoles that, in my opinion, they just didn't really cut the mustard. And I'm doing this video because it seems to me that Blaze Entertainment can just do no wrong, and the fans of these consoles will back it to the hilt despite the obvious flaws, and it seems that the company get away with it again and again and again. Now, I'm not here to knock Blaze. As I said before, I loved the thing. It was great. But some, I'll call them shills, just really, really just forgive Blaze Entertainment for all of the misgivings. Now, for me, the problem started when this thing came out. So this was the successor, the handheld successor, shall I say. They made a VS console, but like clone console things for retro games for the TV aren't really my thing. I quite like modern game on the large screen. So I'm more of a handheld gamer when it comes to retro games. I was really looking forward to this. So the price point was the Nintendo Switch. This had a nice IPS screen. It had a tate mode, so you could play it like this, rather uncomfortably. But hey, whatever floats your boat. It opened the door to all these great new arcade games. But this thing had problems from the start. Now, this is a duff unit. It's just fucking had it. The battery went after about 3 months. Now, Blaze unfortunately got robbed with their shipment of the limited edition ones, and they lost a lot of money. And they'd done such good things during the pandemic that I kind of just decided not to raise a warranty issue on it, just because I didn't want them going bust. I thought they were doing good things. So I kind of forgave that. But for everyone, this thing had issues from the start. So the initial run of 10 cartridges that came out for the initial Evercade, this being one of them, the Technos Collection 1 with all the Double Dragon games on it, awesome. It just literally, I'll show you, the cartridges. Look at how stiff that is. I can like just about, and I daren't push that in, right? Because it won't come out again. It'll be properly stuck. Now, I'll push it in a little bit further. See that? I'm not a weakling here. Like, I'm pushing it in, and it's, look at that. That's ridiculous. I'm trying to, like, this is taking all of my strength to get, there you go. And that only went in to there. Now, the main problem on this was the battery, before it just went kaput, would run out in like 15 minutes. The battery bar would go to nothing. You know, it's like I'm driving a fucking Tesla, not playing a handheld video games console. Like, 100% to zero. It was crap. Had the same button mapping issues, and it heated up as well. Now, this wasn't exclusive to mine. All of them heat up. This bit of metal here, because obviously you can play it without cartridges, and because it's got built-in games, this one as well. And this bit of metal would get ridiculously hot. And like, unlike a PS5 or an Xbox or something like that, it doesn't have any fans in it cooling it down. Like, it was just terrible. The screen was too dark, and it's just a flawed product, basically. And you know, I was one of these people that forgave Blaze for that, because I thought, oh, that's a one-off. You know, I let it go. But then, basically, lots of other things happened in terms of quality control. There'd be like firmware updates that wipe games. And now bear in mind, when you buy a cartridge, and I know this is a ROM dump, this ROM's just dumped on the cartridge. However, when you're buying a cartridge, you are literally buying the games. You're purchasing physical media. You own it. Unlike like a digital code on Steam or whatever you're going to download. That's the fucking appeal. You own it, and then Blaze do a firmware update on their hardware and wipe things. They release games with glitches. Now, this isn't all the time. And I have to say that the quality of the games is great. Like, so this one's Good Boy Galaxy, Witch and Whiz, right? Really good games. 2 cracking independent games. You're not going to get these games on like a Chinese fake ROM dump handheld. They're actually really good, right? But the problem's the quality control here. So I'll put this cartridge into my purple Evercade. I don't put it into that one. And actually, you can see, so this one here, you see that cartridge? Just sits flush, right? Real nice and flush. Now, there's real disparity between the shape and sizes of the cartridges of Evercade. And the plastic just feels really crap, for want of better terminology. Now look at that. You can see just a little bit that is sticking up. I don't know if you can see that. It's just sticking out. It's far more prominent on this handheld here. the small one. And you can actually see there that it's on the piss. Just about. It doesn't sit flush to the top. There's like 0.5 millimetre gap here. It's insane, and it makes me feel like a bit of a mug for buying these things. But I wanted to support the company because they made me happy towards the back end of the pandemic. And, you know, people love this thing. I love the ethos of what they're trying to do here, you know. Giving old, obscure games that extra bit of love. Okay, you're not going to see Sonic and Mario on these things, you know, but things like Good Boy Galaxy, things like the remakes of Duke Nukem, you know, the old Double Dragon games, like games that largely get forgotten, or games that people with real passion are making. And I've no doubt Blaze Entertainment have got passion too, but the fact of the matter is that there's real quality control issues here. So moving on to this thing, the Super Pocket. Now, I'm going to be fair to Blaze. I'm not here just to knock them, right? This thing actually addressed a lot of the problems with this EXP, and I actually think it's a bad device. Obviously, it's a portrait handheld in the mould of like a Game Boy or a Game Boy Color or something like that. And I've got a tiny little hands there, but it does feel a bit small. But it's well built. It's nice. Right, now the firmware on this is actually like a lot simpler, and the games run a lot better on it. The screen's a lot nicer. The buttons are really nice. This would be the perfect device, if you're listening, Blaze. This would be the perfect device if it were this size. So a landscape handheld, and if it had this D-pad on it. This is the letdown. So the D-pad here, it's great for like 4-way games and that, but it's not on like an axis. It's just button pads, and you can't move diagonally with it. And it's just like, you've released this great thing, like, that fixes loads of quality control issues and actually feels really nice. And it's only 50 quid and all this, I have to say that. So yeah, alright, you get what you pay for, but it's just stumped by this one thing. Now, these quality control issues, they just persist with Blaze. And the problem is, and the thing that really grinds my gears, I love the Evercade community, right? But the problem for me is that the Evercade community, they basically just exonerate Evercade every single time this happens. Every time a game comes out with a glitch in the emulation, every time button mapping's wrong, every time a cartridge is too tight, every time their fucking EXP overheats. Oh, email technical support. I had a tight cartridge that wouldn't fit in my EXP, and there's literally somebody on a Facebook thread saying, oh, just get a nail file and file a little bit off. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, imagine if that was Sony or Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if the Nintendo Switch, the little cards that go in it were a millimetre too big and you couldn't get them in your Nintendo Switch. There'd be uproar. I mean, okay, I know that Nintendo have millions and millions more people buying Switches, but hey, the reality is this is practically the same fucking price as a Switch Lite. You know? Sort it out. You know, why are we letting this company off the hook? Like, I love what they're doing. I love the games they're releasing and what they're doing with them, but do we really love this company that much that we can let them off releasing an iffy 150 quid, 160 quid device? No, I don't. I'm sorry, Blaze. I'm sorry, but this isn't good enough. You know, firmware updates wiping games off of people's cartridges that they've already bought. Imagine if I downloaded a game on Xbox Live, right? And then all of a sudden it just disappeared and it didn't work. Not because the servers have gone down, just because it didn't download right, or there was a glitch in it. There'd be uproar. Microsoft would lose fucking millions. If it's not acceptable for one company Why should it be acceptable for another? Why should we be letting this company off the hook? And like, I think the final straw for me, personally, is so the new cartridge just come out, Indie Heroes 3. Now, there's a game on it called Donut Dodo, which is like a really, really cool native Evercade title. That's like in the mould of like old school arcade platformers. Like really wicked. They released it as part of, they do like a game of the month thing online, and they released it like temporarily, and it was great. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Now, this is their newest device. That game is glitched on it. Like, hundreds of people have reported that some games don't work. So, the cartridge, the Indie Heroes 3 cartridge, doesn't even work on this. Blaze themselves said that all current and future cartridges would work with the final firmware update, and they don't. You know, now Blaze also said that cartridges wouldn't be too tight to fit in this. You know, I'm sorry, but they're lying to your faces, guys. Like, wake up. I love this thing, but I don't venerate the company to the point that they can do no wrong. That's ridiculous. They need to know what they're doing wrong. They need to be told this stuff so that they can improve further products for us, you know, for its community, for people that put hundreds, some people that have put maybe more than £1,000 into their devices. You know, we deserve better, guys. I'm not here to slag anyone off. I'm not even here to slag Blaze off, really. I'm just here to make them aware that they need to do better. Anyway, look, that's it. I've ranted on enough. If you stayed here to the end of this video, then fair play to you. I take my, well, I haven't got one, but my metaphorical hat off here. So, yeah, that's me done. Peace out, guys. Take it easy. Bye-bye.